Hello, everybody. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. This is all new to us. So we are Bees All Day with Bill and my wife Becky. We're sponsored by Shenandoah Bee Supply. Sandra, hello. Stone River Bees, Jack and Danette were the first ones in tonight. So I hope everybody had a great day today. Darren from Pennsylvania, Keith, good to see you in here. So did anybody work their bees today? And there's a link posted on YouTube for if you want to join the live stream. Flower Street Bees, hello from Colorado. Hello from Virginia. How are you all out there?
You have snow yet out there in Colorado?
Today was the perfect day to be in bees. My wife fed our bees today. She said they look really good. Hives are full, and they're starting to pack away the fructose syrup that we're feeding. Hey, Alex.
Yep.
Berry Time Bees. That's JT and Kathy. Hello, Kathy B. So, what would you guys like to talk about tonight? You want to talk about treatments? You want to talk about feeding? Hello, Roy Pro.
I'm getting ready for winter.
Mike from Vermont. My brother lives in Vermont. What part of Vermont do you live in? All right, we've got one vote for harvest. Everybody's bashful tonight.
I said to go harvest, so that's the topic.
Yeah, we've had one for processing beeswax and making candles, one for harvesting honey. So let's start with harvest. Harvest and honey. The typical harvesting of honey is you always have to make sure that you leave some honey for the bees to get through the winter. My brother lives in Morrisville, Vermont, Mike, and you're in Coventry. Thank you. Tell us about me as a beekeeper. I've been a beekeeper for 54 years. I started at 8 years old with my grandfather and his bees. He had anywhere from 160 to 200 hives at any given time. And as he got older, he needed somebody to pass this on to. And he chose me. He walked in the house one morning, grabbed me by the shirt collar, and said, "You're going with me." I looked at him and I said, "Where are we going?" And he said, "To the bee yard." And I knew better than to say no, because that was at a time in this world when you really didn't say no to grandparents or parents. Is that better, Sandra? And so it just took off from there. Um, I started in 1970, and that was before the varroa mite. And really, the only thing we had to worry about were wax moths, mice, nosema, and maybe a trach mite here and there. But they were easily taken care of at that time. And the varroa mite hit in Virginia in 1989 and 1990. We didn't see it until 1990. So it became a real joy fest at that time to be a beekeeper because nobody knew what to do. And We tried powdered sugar. We tried powdered sugar rolls. We tried everything. And finally, Vito Pharma came up with Apivar. Yep, good old Apivar. And everybody at that point bought it up, overused it, and we have the problem with Apivar that we have. Because now you have to do it as the directions state. So that's been my journey through beekeeping. No, I'm not a master beekeeper yet. I'm going to start now in January. So, but that's been my journey. And 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I drug my wife to a beekeeping class that she didn't really want to go to because I was retiring from the fire department and I needed something to do. So, well, she learned well, and she does a pretty good job running the apiary while I run the store. So, anybody else? I mean, you want to go into harvesting now? That's kind of my background. Anybody else got a good background? Keith, Mike, Darren? Somebody join the live stream.
Yeah, huh.
Come on, don't be bashful.
You got any new beekeepers out there? This is your
Yeah.
first year keeping bees?
I see one for sure. Sawmill Charlie. You gotta unmute your mic there, Sawmill.
Now
There we go.
There you
Now
go.
you're here. This is the man that got me started. He
I am
needs to
gonna
take all the
see.
credit for this.
Yeah, let me.
There's quite a few in here that were on Friday night, and there's some new ones too. And we were just going over my background.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to stream out to my audience for you.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
I appreciate that.
Save changes. All right, now it's being pushed out to all the folks that come to me.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Well, we got to get you. We got to get you. We got to get you known, pop. You know that. Hey, it's
Yeah.
Monday nights.
Exactly.
Monday nights is bees all day.
Yeah.
Half the night.
Did you? How late did you go Friday night?
Friday night I go to 10:30.
Okay.
And then the thing with StreamYard is the folks who are on the StreamYard, like me, like if you turned StreamYard off, I would still be here. We could actually talk. We call it the green room in the back.
Okay.
In the back, that's where we get down to hey Kathy and all that and that kind of stuff. Hey Darren.
Darren, to answer your question, yes, I'm starting at Cornell online in January to get my master beekeeper cert.
What are you gonna? What was that, Bob? Bill?
Darren had asked the question about when I said I was going to get my master beekeeper cert,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm going to get it from Cornell. I start their classes in January.
Okay. Now I'm just getting my papers here. I have a list of that everybody comes in. That's why I know certain people like Icy Mountain, which is Sandy, which I've also visited Sandy out in Western Maryland. And then here's Tar Hill, which is Randy and all that. I keep a list of everybody's names and numbers or numbers, but where they live at a lot of times.
That's a good idea.
So, so how's things down in Virginia there today? cool
We were,
nights.
the wife was in the bees today, feeding bees, and she said all of them look good. They look strong. I had hives full of bees, so
Yeah.
can't complain about that.
And there's Brad from Canada, the bee man from Faith Apiaries. That's Brad from up in Manitoba, Canada.
Okay.
He's good friends with Ian Stepwood.
Okay.
So, yeah, today I was in, well, actually, I've been in bees Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning and let's see, today's what, Monday? Sunday
Yep.
morning, Sunday evening, and then this morning. So I started out Saturday afternoon pulling April bar strips and getting all that done. And I I found a dead out that was just a bunch of robber bees in there, which they had cleaned that little nuke out. And then there was another hive there that was blowing. Bee numbers were okay, but they just didn't look quite right. So I investigated that. There wasn't any queen, no brood, and all that kind of stuff. And so it looked like to me that possibly it was starting of a land workers or something in there.
Uh,
And they were starting to build the comb, the cells up a little bit.
yep.
So I said, okay, I don't see anything else, that's even related to having a decent beehive. So I went ahead and I went through all the combs and basically took the bees, and I actually hit hit the bottom board with the box, and they were all on the bottom board. So I just walked them over there to the edge of the grass and the blacktop in front of the hives and shook them out on the ground, let them find their new home.
Yeah.
And then of course the other one was totally robbed out, and they were all robber bees. And so that's what I did Saturday afternoon. I did check. I got a hive here. Put out a video. You had a dud queen in it because it was a queen. It wasn't laying. I got rid of her. Went and bought another queen from the Eastern Shore. She had been in there. She got released. She was laying eggs. I seen her a week or two ago. Went back in there this week and was just kind of checking. I was going to pull the April war strips, of course, and check and see whether or not she was how well she was laying and stuff like that. So I found, I'll say, 4 frames of brood. I mean, nice big cap patches and larvae on her, older larvae around on the outer sides, the edges of that, but no queen. And then on top of that, I found about a dozen young queen cells that are on the face of the frame. So I'm like, okay, what's doing? I said, this is, emergency cells or whatever you want to call them. So I finally took the time. I guess it was what I did Sunday morning. Went through that whole frame by frame by frame. There was no queens. They either offed her or something. Got rid of her. And
Yes. This year has been hard on queens.
well, it's kind of late in the season, and
Yeah.
I was trying to keep that production hive up and running for next spring, but it didn't work. Hey, Todd. Todd's from Loma Vista Bees. He's from California and Fresno.
Oh, okay.
And so anyway, I went through that frame by frame. Basically, I took the resource, i.e. the brood. I put it in 2 other hives, and then there was about 10 frames of capped sugar, or actually capped honey, I guess is what it was, for them for the fall, that they had put in there after I had harvested. And so I got to thinking, now what am I going to do with that? So I thought about putting it on my 10 frame production hives. I said, nah, that's going to mess things up there. So I have some nukes, and most of them, some of them are double deeps, and they usually get by March, they're kind of running out of food a lot of times. So I said, okay, I got 2 medium 5 frame boxes. I took 10 of those, 2 mediums, plopped them on 2 different nukes. So they have extra feed. So I didn't have to worry about putting the feed somewhere without it getting, robbed or pest in it or anything like that.
That makes sense.
So I got that done. So that was Sunday afternoon, and then there was there was other frames and stuff from all those nukes and from that 10 framer that didn't make it that had nectar and stuff in it. And so I put it off the back, kind of where that camper is behind me over there, and I let them rob it out for a couple of days, So I went out there Sunday evening about 6:30 or so, and all the bees were back to their hives, and nobody was around that, and the combs were all licked clean. So I packed them all up and brought them into the house. I happen to have enough freezer space to put all those different frames in, and it'll keep everything from getting any wax moth or hive beetles and stuff like that.
It's funny you mentioned freezer space. If there's any local beekeepers on here to me,
Mhm.
we are going to be offering freezer space this winter.
Really? You got
Yeah.
like walk-in freezers or what?
I have a
We have a
walk-in fridge and a walk-in freezer.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
in the store.
freezing all my frames now. So
Well, I
I
have,
freeze them and then I take them out and store them in big totes.
yeah.
They're ready to go.
Over the years, I actually gathered up, used or new with some grants that I got. And I've got 2 big chest freezers, and my son got one. It was about a half size chest freezer, but still pretty darn good size. A friend of him gave it to him, and then I purchased a used commercial upright. Hey, Darren.
Darren, we're in Woodstock, Virginia.
Yeah. He's right off of Interstate 81, Darren.
Yep, exit 283 off of Interstate 81. And if you're anywhere near Carlisle, I'm about 2 hours and 45 minutes south of you.
Yeah, he's up around State College, I think. Close to that.
Good. Yeah.
He's good ways up there.
Yep, he is.
Hey, Steve. Steve there at Daisy Honey. He's from up in New York.
New York State. Yep.
Yep. So anyway, I put all my honey supers in freezers and leave them there all winter. And then if I have brood frames, I'll do that. Hey, Sandra.
Hello.
Hello.
I lost you on YouTube, so I came into the studio.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh.
That's cool. So anyway, that's where I store all my stuff at. And so today I went ahead today. Well, it was like 73 degrees this morning.
It was nice.
And low humidity. So everybody got Formic Pro today. So I went out there this evening after I'd put it on, and they're bearding some, but right now it says it's 64 degrees here. I'm not sure if it's quite that low, but
We're supposed to get 49 tonight.
Really, that low?
Yeah.
Let me check here locally and see what it comes up at. But
B-Man Sanders from Chesterfield, Virginia.
yeah, it's 67 degrees right now. So anyway, they are bearding not too bad, some more than others. And so that's where I'm at with mite treatments right now. And then Tuesday, I signed up for the National Honeybee Survey. So my bee inspector came over and we took live samples, bee samples in alcohol, samples of larvae, whether it be larvae we found, let's say, between the frames out of drone brood, or we actually beat it out of the frames themselves onto a sterile platform.
Yeah. I've signed up for that 2 years in a row, and I haven't seen anybody yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that your local bee inspector? Do that? What's we moving to Mike's?
I did it through the state acres,
Okay.
and I haven't seen anybody yet. So maybe they don't want my bees.
So, oh well. So, Sandra, are you I mean, is she one of your local beekeepers, or is she?
She
Where are you
is.
from?
She is.
Yeah, yeah, I'm relatively new, just started in March, and Bill and Becky are my mentors, even if they don't know it.
Well, that's cool. So you're down in there in Woodstock and all.
No, I'm in Goochland. I'm about an hour and a half east of their area in Woodstock, moving towards Richmond, Virginia.
You're okay. You're mate.
She's over near Richmond.
Richmond, that far away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got good mentors. You got to follow them, man.
Yeah, but I'm sure. Aren't there any bee clubs over there next?
I'm a member of a club, but I get white glove service when I go to Shenandoah Bee Supply.
Okay. Well, I will have to say that because I don't know of any bee supply company than Shenandoah Bee that I find out that the owner actually delivers bee supplies to the local. I don't know how far, but actually delivers to the house and
I'll
all
go
that.
just about anywhere in the state of Virginia.
Yeah,
And that's a
I
lot
do
of
a lot of the
a lot
delivery.
of traveling.
Yeah, I'm the delivery driver also.
Nobody does that I know of. Everything is either shipped or you come and get it type of thing.
Yeah.
And if you have a question, you can just ask Bill.
Yeah, we've got like one of my suppliers up north there or locally that I help out. He gets the same thing. He gets questions and answers and stuff. Or if I got a question, I call him sometimes and to get some ideas about it. But and all that. So so that's what's happened with me. I got the second round of mite treatment on for 2 weeks, and then after that I'll start feeding. And the nukes have a lot of honey in there this year. We had a late flow. Usually by the 1st of July, it's pretty much over with.
Yeah.
This year, I think it went at least to the 15th of the month in July or more with honey coming in.
Well, I'm seeing dandelions come back along with clover.
Really?
After this drought. Yeah, we've got quite a few dandelions in the yard again.
We were at a place today walking around the yard. It was a mowed yard, and it did have white clover. And I did see some honeybees flying around, looking for honey or nectar.
Yep.
And I was quite surprised because usually white clover, Dutch white clover, it's kind of dried up by 10 o'clock in the morning and they don't really work it. Usually bumblebees work it and everything like that. Randy, what's my mite count? I don't know yet. I'll find out from that test and all that kind of stuff. And then Barry says, Barry's kind bee, you guys have lanternfly? Yes, but nothing like it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago was our first year. You couldn't walk anywhere without squishing lanternflies or them things flying up into your head. And then last year was about half the amount. And this year, I think I might have seen 12 of them. And that was about it. But we did have some because my car was parked underneath a guy's tree and I had lanternfly dew on my windshield and stuff like that.
Yep.
But not a great amount. And but I talked to the bee inspector and stuff. We were chatting about it, and she was saying maybe white clover. I don't know what else would be out there. That seemed to be the bees were bringing it in, but they were
The
definitely.
goldenrod. You got any goldenrod going up there right
I
now?
have some. It's just starting to bloom, but we don't really get any nectar out of it. Normally, it's just pollen, and it's been really, really um, dry here. Supposed to get some more rain pretty soon, this coming week, and all that. Um, but that's pretty much here. Like I was, to kind of come back with Rainy Klingen and about my mite counts. I really don't do a lot of mite counts, and here lately, between participating in the bee inspection and getting all these different mite counts in, um, I I just didn't have time to do all that. I mean, when it comes to my mite, what I do for mites, I have a program. I call it a mite program, where always the last 2 weeks of July I put Aprivar in. Uh, due to I would love to put Aprigard in, but it's just too hot at that time. We had quite a few weeks where we actually quit work because it was that hot, 105 degrees and stuff like that. And then after that, here we are right now. We've got these 2 weeks, I think about 2 weeks worth of nice low humidity, low temperatures, below 80 degrees, and perfect weather for Formic Pro.
Yeah.
So,
yes, well, I have been killing lanternflies all day today. They're going crazy around here this year. Last
really,
year I didn't see any. This year I've seen a lot more than I care to see. But
so they're going your way then, coming your
yeah,
way,
yeah,
and all that stuff. So anyway, that's what I do. Maybe I that's why I get these counts from the National Honeybee Survey. It gives me a glimpse into what I'm doing, how well it's working, and stuff like that. It also
yeah,
tells me about, and not just mites, but it also tells you, hey, you got this kind of virus and this kind of virus, or several different types, or let's say, um, what's it called? Parasitic, not
parasitic
paramedic
mite syndrome.
yeah, and things like that. I
Yeah,
did know that the bee inspector did state she's seen some K wing, and she saw K wing 3 years ago. So,
yeah.
I don't know what you do about it,
Well,
but
it's a problem that's created by the mite.
yeah, I don't think super DFM is going to cure it. I'm not sure,
I don't think so.
all that stuff. But so anyway, um, that's where I'm at in my bees. So they'll, you figure it's supposed to be mid 70s, maybe. Today was probably the highest temperature, maybe 80 degrees today at the height. And then after that, it's supposed to be, I'll say, mid to high 70s.
Yeah, low
And
80s, mid to high 70s, low 80s.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not even going to get up in the 80s, they state. And then they said in the nighttime, it would be in the 60s.
yeah. You're
And
right.
so, the first 4 days, that's more or less the initial shock of Formic Pro, and as far as off gassing and all that kind of stuff. But um
Yeah,
all
we
right,
did
Stony River, that's JB. He's down in
Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie, Virginia.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know where he's at.
Okay.
So we did Ape Guard about 3.5, 4 weeks ago, and it hadn't been in a day, and we had 3 hives pull it out.
They did what? They absconded?
They pulled the card out,
Oh, really?
threw it out in front of the hive.
Really?
Yeah,
Now, what was the time? I mean, I've been researching that product, when I can do it and what's kind of safe. And I presume
it's
you were putting what, 25 grams in?
25 grams because it's above 77 degrees.
Right.
And the upper temperature limit on the thermometer is 105, not what it feels like.
Well, that might be, when I hear that, it's like, then I also hear when I listen to Bob Bidding saying, I wouldn't put it in the hive over 95 degrees at all,
True, but
and
we did it. It was at the height of the heat, and we hadn't treated since spring, so we needed to get our next treatment in, and we did it. And 3 of my obnoxious hives just pulled the card out and threw it on the ground. Like, what are you putting that in here for? So I just picked the card up off the ground, shoved it in the front entrance, and it stayed.
yeah, but now you did put it in the top of the hive.
No,
You put it on the
top of the brood.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at is you had a brood box and then you
And
put
they pulled it out.
and they put that on top of the brood frames and then they pulled it down through the frames
Yep.
and out.
And shoved it out the front door.
Hmm.
So I just shoved it back in the front door because I didn't have a suit on
Right.
when I picked it up. I just shoved it in the front.
Hmm. Hey, Tim or Matt. Yeah, I'm just concerned whether or not do you think you'll be killing any of your queens with that stuff, or what's your experience with that stuff? Have you had a lot of experience with
Yeah,
it?
we used it last year.
We used it last year too, and I've used it before in the past. As long as you do it per the directions that are written on the package, it does not seem to affect queens because they're already in a brood break when you use it.
Right.
So using it in that brood break, she's not laying, so she's not running all over the place laying eggs. So it doesn't seem to affect her.
In ours.
But our mite counts go from 3 or 4 to 0 immediately. And they
Right.
stay that way until we treat in the fall.
Bring up Matt Morris Homestead there, if you would. This is the typical mistake. Matt's up there around Buffalo, New York. So he said that, he did Formic and he said, hey, I've lost, it killed my queen, basically. He was looking for a queen. What should I do? So now he went back in and guess what? He found his green dotted queen. So Matt, the main thing you want to take from that is that when you put Formic in or Aprigard, especially Aprigard, it's a well-known fact that it will shut the queen down for, I'll say, a week or two at least.
Yep, that's why we treat a brood break.
Don't panic, but Matt's he's new and all, but he's one of the new beekeepers that's really trying. That's why we like him.
Well, at least if he's putting forth the effort to be a good beekeeper, because I was reading this statistic the other day, half of the 27 million hives, it was either in Virginia or in the United States, half of those hives are improperly managed. Because there are beekeepers that want to be organic, which that's their choice. There's beekeepers that don't believe in treating. And the beekeepers that don't believe in treating are the beekeepers that kill bees.
Yeah, and I will have to say, when I first started, there was a lot of treatment-free folks out there, and I'm hearing less and less of them. They've either quit or, got tired of losing their bees, or they've started using more organic treatments.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up, Charlie. Organic treatments. Let's talk about organic treatment.
Well, there was, if obviously what I was leading into there, Robin Underwood, who's up from Penn State, she has a what do you call it, a video about this. And also there was an article in American Bee Journal, I believe it was. Same article, same thing about her thing. And she had 3 different classifications. She had, treatment free, organic, and something else. I forget what it was, a chemical, I guess, and all that. But go ahead. Let me grab a soda and I'll be back in a second.
All right, I'll wait for you to come back. But does anybody else have any thoughts on organic or the 3 different types of treatments? All right, B-Man, elaborate a little bit if you want. Okay. There's one more. There's one more, Flower Street. You know what it is? It's Hop Guard. There you go, hops. So thymol comes from the thyme plant. It's organic. The reason that these treatments have an EPA label is because they have to be concentrated to get enough concentration to kill the mite. So you've got thymol, which is Apigard, oxalic acid, formic pro. Does anybody know where formic acid comes from? It comes from ants. They find it in their poison. So formic pro is concentrated into those caches that we use to treat bees with. And that's why the EPA has now allowed it to be used with honey on, because guess what's in honey? Formic acid. So
Whatever she's doing, she's making a lot of background noise.
that
You got some, it's not bad. It's like scratching.
I don't hear it. Would it be? It might be my mic. Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So you've got Apigard, you've got Formic Pro, you've got oxalic acid, and the last one is Hop Guard. Out of the 4 organic treatments, Hop Guard is the harshest because the hops plant is highly acidic, and it's just the harshest. I've had that kill queens outright within 2 days. So you can't use it, I can say you can't, but and it's up to you how you use it. But if you don't use it per the EPA directions, you're going to cause problems. Like a lot of people are using oxalic acid incorrectly in an unapproved manner.
Check your mic,
And
Bill. It's still like it's feeding back, or is it a?
can I log off of?
No, you're good. Now you seems to be fine. Now,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So
Check
there's a
the
lot of
connect.
people using oxalic acid.
Check the plug in the back, or in the just. Okay.
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like somebody was like, I don't
Somebody's
know,
got a
whispering.
mic somewhere.
Huh?
Somebody's got a hot mic.
Well, that ain't me. It's your microphone, but I'm not sure exactly what. Now it's fine. It seems like.
Okay.
All right.
So when they're using oxalic acid,
Hold your mic up
there's
with your hand. All right. Now just go ahead and start talking. See if that works.
when you use oxalic acid and you use it in an unapproved manner, I'm going to say it outright. If you do the shop towel method, it leaves a residue in that hive that you can't get out. And I don't know if the shop towel method's been approved in Maryland or not.
What
I
is it?
have no idea.
Called shop towels? No.
Yeah. So God bless Randy Oliver. He's worked hard. And if a state apiarist finds you using it in an unapproved manner, the first call they're going to make is the EPA. So you don't want to get the EPA involved in you using a treatment or one of these chemicals in an unapproved manner. So stick to the directions. It's legal to fog it. It's legal to vaporize it. It's legal to dribble it. And that's it right now. There is a new one that came out that was approved in Virginia, Roxanne.
Yeah. Bill, do you have a cell phone open mic or something?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Take your mic. Keep your microphone. Yeah, is the phone close to the cable? Should be shielded. So I don't know.
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
better?
so. I don't know. I'm getting. Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah. It just seemed like there's like a scratchy noise or something. But anyway, it seems to be fine right now.
So you've got these treatments that you need to. It's a cell phone transmitting. You have another guest, Charlie. There's not been anybody come in on my live other than Sandra, Charlie, and myself.
Yeah, guys, the ones who are usually coming to my channel, where it came from me. Actually, this is Bill's live. I just simulcasted it out to my folks that come in. And Bill, if you see the ones with like a little halo, like for the B man of Faith Apiaries, he's got a
Yep.
little oval there. They're actually viewing you through me, I guess you would call it.
Okay. Thank
Something
you. Good evening, Jeff. How are you tonight? So then you've got Formic Pro, you've got Apiguard, and you've got HopGuard. Those are your 4 organic treatments. Anything else outside of that is a chemical treatment. Now, Viroxan is oxalic acid, but it's in a long-acting form. It's cardboard strips soaked in oxalic acid. The treatment window is 42 to 56 days with it. It's the same as Apivar. But for a larger sideliner beekeeper, it's not cost effective. So it comes in a 60 pack right now, and that's the smallest you can get it. As far as I know, I'm supposed to be getting it when it comes in. It's still in Norfolk, going through customs. So there's a whole container, a couple containers of it down there, going through customs.
Hmm.
So as soon as we get it, I'll let everybody know.
So I think we had somebody earlier want to know about harvesting. We should get back to that.
All right, I'm back. You were asking as far as the sheets. We do have the Verox, which is basically the same idea as Randy.
Yeah.
Hop Guard, I've never used. I hear it's messy and
It is.
it's not all that effective, I don't think.
It's pretty harsh. It
And
really is. Hop Guard is harsh. And it's due to the acid, the amount of acid that's in the hops oil.
Right. So, like I say, my main thing is I've been in the last 2 years. It's been Aprivar, Formic Pro, and then I do oxalic acid vapor throughout the wintertime, at least once or twice a month if it's 45 degrees. This past year, I think, let's see, January, I was at Nobby. That was the weekend it was 45 degrees. And
We
so they
missed it.
didn't get treated for January, but they got treated twice in March or February.
Yeah.
We're in the beginning of February and at the end of February, just right before March hit. And then after that, I quit and I'm, getting ready for honey season.
Yeah. So we try to treat 4 times a year. January, into March, first part of April, July or August, and then September or October. So we hit them with OA in January, Formic Pro in the spring, Apigard in the middle of the summer, and then either Formic Pro or OA again in the fall.
Right. So, but now I don't know, like I say, when it comes to treating, I think the one of the biggest things is Varroa. When I started, it wasn't new, but the education part of it. People, oh, I can't see it, so I don't have Varroa. I don't see any mites on my bees. All right, and then
They're
Sammy
so
Ramsey
small
come
you
out and said,
can't see
"Hey,
'em.
you're not going to see them because they're underneath the belly of the bee and up inside the platelet." So there was a huge educational process
Mhm.
there at that time, and then we got better. Um, where we went from powdered sugar to alcohol marshes. Now we're doing Dawn. The whole process of learning about mites and I think the biggest thing was, and as far as I can remember, I had Sammy coming to my bee club about 3 or 4 months prior to him becoming a PhD. And he was the first person I think of any saying, "Here's a picture of what you're up against." And here is a video where he had put dye in the fat body food, and it you could see it. It was translucent. He could see it going through his body and all because he had the guys from down at Maryland State College or University with the microscopic photography area. I forget what they call the different electron microscope and stuff like that. So he brought a visual to the beekeeping community, and then there's like, oh, now we understand what we're against. And I think over a period of 10 years or more, our community of beekeepers have been well educated and I have a greater understanding of what the problem is so they can take care of it and stuff and that kind of thing and all that. So I think that's one of the reasons why you don't hear as much as treatment free and
Yeah, I
all.
think that is too, because the education's actually gotten better. The epidemiologist at Virginia Tech partnered with several universities last year and this year and got a grant to go around the state of Virginia and give talks about don't let Varroa crash you. And it's the new ways to use oxalic acid. They've now found out that the old oxalic acid treatment regimen doesn't work as well. That oxalic acid is really only effective on the bees when there is no brood on the hive.
And it took me a long time to learn that
Yeah,
because I
it's
was
it,
doing
it's taken everybody a long time to learn that.
well, I heard that from the science people and I was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to treat twice a week for 7 to 8 continuous weeks, all the way up until October to where the time changes. And I did that, and my half of my bees crashed. And it was the fact that there was so much brood in there. And my philosophy was, hey, I'm going to kill thoracic mites. That's what oxalic acid does. Well, I'll catch them as they're coming out of the cappings. And even though you're doing it every 3 to 4 days apart, you still can't get it done.
You never catch that brood cycle.
Never catch it just quite right.
Yep.
So, and it's a lot of work. So that's when I started doing Formic Pro, and then understanding that where Formic, I kept looking at, well, back in the day, Mighty Way quick strips. And I'm like, how are you supposed to treat bees when, yeah, well,
Darren,
actually, Michael's going to be down at your show.
he is. Darren, Michael Bush is going to be at the Virginia State Beekeepers Conference, October 25th, 26th, 27th. If you're interested, come on down and see him.
So I always kept thinking about Mighty Way quick strips or Formic, whatever you want to call it. How you treating the mite, killing mites when half the hive's sticking on the outside of the box? Well, with better education, it's like, hey, Formic is a brood treatment, and oxalic acid is thoracic mites, and Aprovar is a thoracic mite treatment for 2 brood cycles. See you, Brian. That's Flower Street from out in Colorado.
Thanks, Flower Street.
And then Todd thinks that Dawn dishwashing option is better. It takes the sticky off of the feet of the bees. Get a better wash. It could possibly be true. So anyway, I finally figured all that out. And then I finally come to the idea that the science people were right, that less brood in the hive when you're doing oxalic acid is a 98% kill instead of a 50% kill. And so I've done all that the last 2 or 3 years, and I've had a much better mite kill and survivability of it and everything.
Yep.
And all that kind of stuff. Hey, Lee. And all that. So that's what I've been up to. And now, Bill, when you go to your YouTube side and where it says bees all day for your StreamYard link, there you should, if you go to the edge of that, you should have 3 dots up the side of it. And then it'll say pin to the top, and that's how you keep it to the top.
There's something going on YouTube.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like starting over on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's starting over. So if I close that,
I don't know. Are you back up? Are you back up on YouTube now?
I am, but it started over.
Well, what you do, go to StreamYard, and
I killed the YouTube link.
Okay.
We're
learning. It just takes time.
Well, anyway, when you post the link for me to pop in on that, you can do that again. If you can restart your YouTube if you want, and then you'll have to go over to your settings in the bottom of StreamYard to copy your link when you post it in YouTube, then there'll be, if you hover over it off to the edge, it'll 3 little dots will come up. Click on that, and it'll say pin to the top, and that's way it'll keep it up to the top for anybody to come in
Oh, okay.
and all that.
All right.
It's still good on my feed, it says. So that's fine and all. But so anyway, that's how I kind of came up with my strategy against mites. And it seems to be working. Sandy just dropped out. Sandra.
How about, my question is yellow jackets. Everybody seen a lot of yellow jackets this year?
No,
No?
nope. Last year I had the Asian hornets, and there's a few of them are flying around, not around the bee yard, but around some other buildings. And
Yeah. Well, you're seeing European hornets,
yeah, the
not Asian hornets.
big
Yeah.
gigantic things.
Yeah.
They were kind of hanging around my hives last year, and I batted a couple of them, and I'll tell you, they're tough. They're like trying to break a pencil in half. So
Yeah. Yeah.
They are. Yeah, we had yellow jackets today. I noticed more yellow jackets around my house today.
what, around your hives trying to rob?
Well, just a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm trying to. I smashed a few today. I need to put some, make a yellow jacket trap.
Yeah. Now Matt here, he's at Morris Homestead. He's asking, how long can he feed? I said, Matt, you got a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I know that you're north of me and near Chicago, but I would say if you're going to start feeding now, just feed them till they quit. They won't take anymore.
Yeah. And it stopped taking feed when it's consistently below 50 degrees for about 3 days around the clock. They'll stop
Yeah.
taking the liquid feed and they'll start using their stores. And then once they get up to the top of the hive, you need to start considering fondant,
Yeah.
not cake fondant. Either fondant you make or sugar cakes or something like that and check on them again in January. Check on them again first part of February, middle of February. Start throwing the pollen patties to them, and then April 1st you'll have a hive full of bees ready to work.
Yeah. Now, JW there, he's out in Illinois there. He just subscribed to your channel and gave you a thumbs up
Thank you, JW.
and all. And everybody's on here. If you can go to Bill's thing and give him a thumbs up. He's only got 8, and there's 57 people on here right now.
Yeah, and well, we started with 26 before we started.
So
Well,
We're getting there.
50 is good.
Yep.
It's good.
It
I
is
just-
good for the first time out. Yeah, that's real good.
Well, helping, when you're simulcasting like that, it helps bring more people and let everybody else that everybody that's on the chat here. Bill's going to be doing this, I presume, Monday nights at 8 p.m.
Yep.
Is this going to
Every
be
Monday
sort of
night
a
at 8 o'clock.
regular thing?
Yep, it's going to be a regular thing, and I'm going to be posting content on the regular side, on the video side of it as well. I'll be doing shorts. Some of them may be from the store, talking to customers, things like that, but it's content. And it's about bees. Bees all day.
Now, Chris has got a question there.
Honey in his uncapping tank.
Bring it up that way everybody can see it if you want to click on it. There we go. You'll have to answer that one. I'm not sure about that.
How many did you have? A lot of larvae in there? Because that goes back to, maybe there were wax moth eggs on the frame when you uncapped it and you dropped some in there.
All right, and Cajun Homestead, which is Brad, he subbed to you.
Thanks, Brad.
He's down in Louisiana, I believe.
It's good to have people from all over the United States and North America.
Well, that's what you're going to find here in Kodiak Farm. That's Lee. He was usually on Tuesday nights. He's on a little bit of a break right now, and he is in let's see, Louisiana too, I think, or Mississippi, one of the two. I should know that. Yeah, Brad's in Louisiana.
All right, here Chris
Cajun.
got
That's
the answer
Cajun.
to what I had the capping screen on above the honey. Off the wax that I forgot to take out. That kind of makes sense, Chris. That really does make sense.
Yeah, Lee's in Louisiana. Kodiak Farm.
Yeah.
So it's in the wax, Chris. Is where you got.
Yeah, so that's where they are. They're in the wax because they're called wax moths. So they're in the wax, and yeah, you might want to go back and check that hive for wax moths, Chris.
Yeah, that's terrible, Lee.
Yeah,
I don't know about you.
Feeding
Lee,
it back.
I don't know.
If anything,
kind of a judgment
would you put that out in an open feeder?
No, I wouldn't do that.
I think I don't think it's worth the hassle or the problems you might create.
No,
So the best
I
thing
don't
to do
either.
is just trash it.
Yep, I think I
Dig a hole in the ground and bury it or something like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
throw it away just to be safe, because you don't want to introduce any more pests in your housing captive. We had wax moths a couple times, and I made the mistakes of pulling the boxes apart, but not moving them away far enough. You get busy and I'll get to it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, was that a mess? I'll never do that again.
I did have, when I was in the nukes today, putting Formic on. I did see one hive beetle. Went from I was trying to get the one hive beetle on the whole hive, but it was a heavy duty populated hive, and I did see a worm, a worm, like I don't know, it fell out on, I don't know whether it was a wax worm or just what it was, but I don't normally have hive beetles, very, very rarely.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between a wax moth worm and a hive beetle.
There's Galloway Lights. That's Frank. He's up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Use if you
Barry King, he's up in Massanutten. He's not too far from y'all.
No, he's one of my customers.
So Charlie, what do you do if you see hive beetles?
What do you use?
What do you use?
What's that?
To trap them or catch them?
Hive beetles.
Hive beetles.
Hive beetles?
Yeah.
I don't use anything because I don't normally I mean, I might see literally one, and that's it.
Okay.
A couple things that I do, and some people say, the science folks say this and that. And I said, well, they might say that, but number one, like my nukes are on top of blacktop because it just happened to have a little roadway alongside the barn that happened to be blacktop. We don't really use that little area. So there's impervious surface underneath the screen bottom board, so they can't pupate. And then on my and then
Roy.
there's then there is, hey, Jason. Jason's Bohemia Bees. He's from on the eastern shore of Maryland, friend of mine. Anyway, the other part, like these highs right behind me here, I try to find old used carpet. It's let's say 5 feet wide and whatever, let's say 10-foot sections. And I turn the fuzzy side down and put the backing up. Two things. It gets I started using it because I didn't have to mow. Keeps the
Yeah.
grass away from the hives.
Yep.
Secondly, then I found out, hey, it breaks the life cycle of the hive beetle because it can't get down into the ground. Now, some people say, like, oh, the guy out there in let's see, Florida, that the science guy, I forget what his name is. But anyway, he said the beetle will walk 20 some feet and whatever. And I'm thinking, like, well, that's possibly true. But how many of them are going to do that, So I
Not
try to
many.
break, not that many. So I'm going to try to, I don't have any beetle problems out in my strong hives and that kind of thing. So that's what I do. I try to break the life cycle by those types of ideas. And we're in an area that I think it's the same kind of, you got kind of a clay area.
Yep.
And it's hard ground, and you don't have now if you're in the sandy ground areas on the closer to the shorelines and stuff like that, yeah, then you got more problems because they're gonna pupate, or more easier
Yeah, we
stuff.
have frames around our hives filled with stone, and
Mhm.
we keep diatomaceous earth in them. And then
Right.
we put Swiffer sheets in the hives.
Yeah, I do the Swifter sheet thing. I had saw last week when I was adding some supers. I saw a hive beetle or two in one hive, and then so today I put a Swifter sheet in that one or two of them, and then the hive next to it, I went ahead and put one in just to
So you have
check.
a fair amount of hive beetles then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's the first I've seen all year, so I don't know. This was I don't know. So I thought just to be cautious, I just want to make sure, and we'll see what we get. I mean, I maybe that was just something freaky. I saw one. I don't
So that's what I do with them. I really don't put beetle traps in, or I just don't have that many.
Yeah, and when we were putting beetle traps in on a regular basis, we stopped using them because the bees were propolising them up
Yeah.
with nothing in them.
Yeah.
Right. And now I have seen beetles. If you got a hive that's about half dead or dwindling, then
They'll take over.
here comes all the pest
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I try to keep good strong hives, and lots of I've gotten, it's like we've talked on my show and Bob's and different ones, that we want hives like Ian Stepler, where you got a hive where you got a box of bees, where you
Yeah.
can't, and you know what? After a while, you start developing that.
You do.
And
And once you get those strong hives, you need to keep them. Now,
well, you get to that point where uh, I expect that's what I'm expecting or wanting. I want to see in my hives. I want to be able to raise up that inner cover. I don't want to be able to see the frames. I just want to see bees, especially in the
exactly.
springtime.
Now,
And that.
I'm a big proponent of the Enel hive because I
Mhm.
sell them, I use them. Last winter, we established one in the fall, and I had a good size cluster of bees that I put in it. I'd say a couple pounds of bees, and we put some drawn comb in there, and we started feeding them, and we fed them up until November. And when we came back in January and checked to see where they were at, I had side to side, top to bottom, nothing but bees. And JT Berry uses them as well, and he swears by them. And I'm beginning to look at the enamel hive and look at the wooden hives and think, why am I using wood when these are
Right.
doing so well?
Big, and all.
I mean, there's pros and cons to both sides of it, Charlie. But
Mhm.
if you think about it, the enamel hive is like your house. Keeps you warmer in the summer. I mean, cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter with less work.
Right.
Because wood is cheaper. Bohemian bees.
Yeah, that's Jason.
Now, Jason, what makes you think wood is cheaper? Because if you buy the kit, the kit is the enamel kit is actually cheaper than wood, depending upon where you get your
Now
wood from.
Jason can't say nothing about wood because he's got those um Apimon hives or whatever it's called.
Apame hive. Oh yeah, he's got those high dollar bee hotels.
And yeah, he also does a lot of he does some pollination and stuff like that too. He has
Yeah.
pollination trailers and stuff.
Yeah, for now, pollination. Yeah, wood is better.
Yeah, and Jason has a lot of he has wood, he has Apame hives. He's got some unusual I call them experimental hives. And it's kind of like it's like a sort of an octagon frame
Oh
that
yeah.
Oh
but
yeah, I've
but
seen those.
it's up on an angle and
Yeah,
it's on a pivot point. He has one of those hives. I
Wow.
visited him over at his house. And
Cool.
so Jason, what do you got? 4 trailers now, I think it is.
they
He
just picked
has
up 2 more today.
yeah. They it's a low profile trailer that you put bee hives down both sides, and then there's a walkway in between.
Yep.
Or he's got 6 trailers. You're definitely going into the pollination business big time. Of course, he lives where the vegetables and stuff like that are grown heavily on the eastern shore of Maryland and stuff. So it's a good area for him and that kind of stuff. So anyway, but anybody else wants to come in? Let's see. You haven't got your link up there yet. Or you
No, because every time
No,
we do
because
it,
every time I do it starts over.
it restarts YouTube. Like
It restarts from the beginning.
well, just drag the cursor all the way over and you'll be up to speed, I think.
Let me try it.
I'm not sure about that.
we'll try it.
Try it one more time.
We'll try it and see. So, yeah, I like to try out different because we have the store, so we have the opportunity to try out different equipment. We like to try stuff out that we sell. So there's some stuff that works good, and some things do not work well. So, but
I have you on my
It is all
chat.
the way up.
Huh?
yeah,
Go ahead and go
There?
to I forget what's it called? Invite or something like that.
I paused it.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to affect it.
No, what you do is unpause it and then drag the cursor all the way to the right hand side, and you'll be right up to speed.
Yeah,
you drag it all over.
the cursor is all the way up.
All right. Well,
Keep
go
going.
ahead and go to the StreamYard chat, and I think it's
There.
what's it called? Invite button at the bottom.
I think I got it. I think I did it. I think I
And
got it.
Okay, and then
What I did is I killed the speakers on the YouTube chat.
Yeah, you definitely want to do that because you'll have reverb or
Alright,
whatever you want
good.
to call it.
Yep, that's what we're
Yep.
getting.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. There we go. Thank you, Charlie.
Always kill the speaker on the YouTube side.
Yep.
Now, go ahead and on the StreamYard side at the bottom of your screen, you should see invite, I think it is called.
Yep.
Click on that and then copy the invite key.
Yep.
And then click and then paste it in your YouTube side on the chat bar.
Okay. And then hit
And
send.
then
Yep.
you and then hit the send, yeah.
Yep.
All right, there it comes up. Somebody should chat some more.
Yep.
All right, now
Cool.
take your cursor and put it next to the end of the link. There should be 3 dots that come up. And click on the
Yep.
3 dots. And it should have it should give you a choice of pin to the top.
Yep.
Pin to the top is what, click on that. And there you are. No, I need it.
Yeah.
No, you clicked on
Yep.
somebody
Thank
else.
you.
Unpin that
I'm gonna. You did somebody else's.
up top. Click on the 3. Yeah, okay. Now go down to your Be All Day and click on the 3 dots right next to your link. There you go.
Yeah.
Now it's
Now we
upstairs.
got it.
Now everybody can click in. And if they
Yeah.
want to come
Thank
in
you.
on the stream.
Well,
Thank
it's
you,
a
Charlie.
first. We're still learning.
Thanks to your.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
your
your help,
help.
Charlie.
Definitely.
No problem.
It'll get better as we go.
Yep.
So Mike says it's 49 degrees.
Ugh. Where are you at, Mike?
Let's see. Mark Torgy, he is in Vermont.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Yeah, he's up. My brother's in Vermont too, and they had frost warnings tonight.
Yep. So you're going to be a vendor at Nobby or the expo.
Vendor, and I'm going to also be working with the honey show at Nobby.
Are
So
you
my
going?
wife-
Are you training at the honey show?
No,
Or
I'm
what?
going to be a steward.
A steward? Okay.
Yep.
So did you go through their training? The
did.
what
Yep.
do they call themselves?
National.
Yeah, it's a different style of.
NHSTC.
Yeah. You went through it, the West Virginia.
I went through it at the West Virginia show,
conference.
Uh-huh.
and once I'm done with the first level of training, I'm a junior judge, and then you go through your next level. When you're done with the next level, you're a senior judge.
And they don't use the fluoroscope or whatever they call that thing.
Oh, they have them, yeah. They use them if they have to, but they would rather use a. It's a light that they had made special for them. Got how many looms it is, but they can put it on the backside of that jar and bring that light up on that jar and look at the honey and look at the jar itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So-
Kodiak Farms, that's correct.
Yeah, well, Lee's my Lee's the technical person behind the scenes for everybody. Lee, he's the one that helped me out, and he was my administrator for I don't know until he was busy working and stuff. And he's helping out. There's JW.
Hey, JW.
I'm just coming on for a minute. I wanted to see if I can get on you. So you got her where people can get to you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Finally. Yep.
Tell Bill about yourself, JW. You're out. What, Illinois is it?
Yeah, I'm in southeastern Illinois. Well,
I think I've seen you on Charlie's channel before.
yeah. I'm a professional aggravator. I like to get on and aggravate everybody.
You're welcome anytime, JW.
Yeah. I'm not going to stay long. I just wanted to show you that you had her out there where it works. So I just got in.
Thank
I'm
you.
tired.
Well, you been working the bees today, JW?
Yeah, I'm trying to get lined up. I'm going to heck with these doggone little old honeybees. I'm going to go fishing for a few days. I'm headed for Kentucky Lake tomorrow evening or Wednesday morning. I'll go down.
How many
Okay.
hives you got now? What, 50 or so?
Yeah, 52 as of today, but I'm going to have to do a little combination work.
Right.
I won't have so many when I get back.
Yeah, JW, he's the big coon hunter out there.
Yeah. Huh?
You're,
I was
you're
over
the one
there.
that's got their hives in a circle, aren't you?
Yeah,
Your bee yard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them, that's my production apiary. I've got a couple others. So
Okay.
But you what? How many darn coons did you capture out of your bee yard?
I caught 35 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Live trapped them, and I got all. I was posting it on Facebook. I was hauling them off, and I've got some property in the river bottoms. In fact, that picture you see behind me is some of my river bottom property that I got in trees. And I was hauling them up there, and people were saying, "Kill them, kill them." You know, we're overrun with them, but I don't kill anything but time.
Wow.
So
So
I used to be a big hunter, and they asked me, "You still hunt?" And I said, "All I do is hunt for a place to sit down. All I kill is time." So
What do you go fishing for?
I just primarily crappie fish. I got a couple buddies. We may do a little catfishing too if the crappie don't cooperate. So
There you go.
2 other old men and myself, we're gonna go down
That's
there and
what
spend
you
a few
do.
days and fish.
You ought to be about ready to retire, aren't you, JW?
You broke up a little bit. I couldn't tell what you said
I
there.
said you ought to be about ready to retire, aren't you?
For the 4th time. I'm only 80.
he's a retired cattle farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I tell people I don't like bees, but I like being stung. That's the reason I do it. I'm going to pop off here, folks. I just wanted to check out, make sure, let you know that your channel is working where we can get to you if you can get her panned again. So we'll
All
try you
right.
next
Well, I
week.
appreciate it, JW.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Have a
We'll
good
catch
night.
you later, JW.
All right. You come back anytime.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So so you're doing your mate treatments and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah. We're getting ready to put them to bed for the winter.
Well, we're getting ready to move our apiary too. That's our next project. Moving all our hives from one side of the farm to another side of the farm. So
are
we're
you going to
planning
wait?
out our new apiary and trying to make it easier. You know, everything's wide enough that the mower will fit down between it. Because I hate weed eat and designing the layout. You know, that try to keep down grass and hive beetles and all that kind of stuff. So that's our next project.
And accessibility as far as feeding and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
I like space between my hives because I like working them from the side. I don't like working them from the back. I'm only like 5 feet tall, so
She has to have a step ladder every now and
I
then.
got a couple hives now that are a little high, and I'm like, I got to get something so I can.
Well, like my hive behind me there, I like everybody, you go out and you buy yourself a big cinder block, and then you put 5.5 inches above of that with a rack. And
Yeah.
then you put your hive on top of that, and then you start putting supers on up. Next thing you know, you need a A-frame step ladder to get to the
Yep.
top.
Exactly.
So I redesigned my racks there where got rid of the cinder blocks. I got cap blocks, which are well, they call them 4x6s, but they're 3.5 inches thick.
Yeah.
And they're 5.5 inches wide and probably whatever the length of I think 16 inches or something like that.
Mhm.
Anyway, it lowers the frame or the rack closer to the ground. You probably gain 8 inches or more of lower in height and stuff. And then I made them so I think they're 7 feet long, I believe it is. And I got them situated there where I have a hive on either end. You can work them from the back, you can work them from the sides. And then in the middle, there's enough room for um, two telecovers that you can flip upside down to um, put your brood chamber in or
Right.
whatever, your honey
Yeah.
super or whatever, stuff like that. And that way it's keeps um, your honey supers or whatever up higher so you don't have to bend over so low
Yep.
and stuff like that. And then on my nukes, because they're lower and I don't really stack them that tall, I keep them up on the normal cinder block height. But there are four of them I think they're like 8 feet long, and I have four hives, and you really don't have any room in between. So it's like I told two bees brats there. That's Carl from up at Wilkes-Barre, PA. I said, go out to what is it called? The Chinese tool store,
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight, and get yourself an aluminum stand. Like for people to use it for drywall. It's
Yeah.
about
Like
it's
a mini
about
scaffolding.
scaffolding. Yeah,
We had a mentee that had that set up down at Woodbury Forest School. And
yeah. Well, I got one of those for, let's say, $40, and I put it right sort of to my left, and it's 16 inches tall, and you can I use, pull the nuke box top off the inner telly cover, put it upside down on that stepping, and then I can set my boxes right there, and they're close to me. They're high up off the ground. You don't have to bend over, saves your back and that kind of stuff.
good night,
And
Darren. Hope to see you next week.
Darren's checking out.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got an early wake up call.
That makes sense. Yeah, if we're doing a lot of work in the yard, I even have this a plastic table, folding table that I drag out and just drag it around. Just makes it so much easier to set stuff on.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
look over my shoulder there, you see where we're setting our beehives up. We've set some up.
You're
And
right next to, what is that, chicken house?
Is it
yeah,
all
it's a chicken house and a grain tank for the chicken house. And that's our westerly wind block. And then,
Right.
of course, south and southeast sun, first thing in the morning, all day long until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So,
And that's the one thing with the building's great, but yeah, I need to because the shade starts hitting them about 3 o'clock. So I've got to get in them before that. I sometimes do it after that, and I pay for it because it's little shade on them.
Yeah, I have that same problem with the tapered side barn. Uh, it's slanted, it's bright, yeah, bright silver. The sun comes over the hill and shines on the hives and kind of gives them a microclimate, and they'll
Yeah.
fly. But like you say, after about 4 o'clock or so, sun's behind the barn, and now you got this shady spot where they're all kind of coming in for the day, and yeah, they get a little bit feisty sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, mine do, especially towards, but
Not
it's
so
a,
bad in the summertime because you got more daylight hours.
Right.
yeah,
But from this point on is when things start to
Yeah, it
uh,
gets worse.
but
Yeah.
that's a wonderful wind block, and of course the heat radiates off. It's cinder block, so the heat radiates off back off of that, keeps them nice. But when we move them, we're gonna move them like yours in an open field, so closer to on our own property. So we're getting that all set up. So
Yeah.
mhm.
we're
And
gonna do
then
it ahead of time.
like what I do with those hives there is because the wind blows pretty strong from the back side of the hive, I get carpet again from the local carpet installer, some used stuff. And I think it's usually about 5 feet wide and 6 feet or so long. Anyway, from the bottom, from the ground up, I go up with it and then wrap it around on 3 sides and lap it over the top, and then I ratchet strap it all down for the winter. And it makes a wind block. And there might be a gap on that side 6 inches out, but it doesn't matter. It's keeping that wind off,
Yeah.
and they do well with that idea. And then I don't wrap the hives that are behind the barn because the barn takes care of that. But I know which way the wind blows strong all the time, especially in the winter time. I wrap my hives not tight, like I say. I just make basically a wind block out of old carpet
Yeah.
and
That's a
put
good
the fuzzy side in, and then put the backing, the backing. Most carpet, if you noticed it, to me, it looks like it's glue. It's
Yeah.
kind of, it's like threads with all this glue in there. And it's sort of, some of it's better than others, but that glue, it kind of acts, um, what do you call it? It kind of sheds the water off and stuff like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I do, and it works for me, good enough. Now, if you got a anneal hive, like you were saying, you got insulated hive.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether or not you would need that or not.
Yeah, we probably still got because the wind blows down through this new location. Just maybe some roll bales up a little bit, something like that to make a little wind block. And if it snows or something, to keep the snow back a little bit, it won't drift through
Yeah.
there. So it's a new project for
adventure.
us, but we're trying to work smarter and laying it out, and that keep the maintenance down. One less thing to do. I like beekeeping, but I got a lot of other stuff to do too. So I can
Well, like I
make
say,
things a little less maintenance free. That helps a lot.
that's now like the carpet underneath those hives right now. The carpet's it's been there for quite a few years. It's getting kind of rotten. I really need to, get out there maybe in the winter time when it's winter, and if I have a 4-wheel drive forklift or something where I could raise those highs up and slide another piece of carpet in there. But I don't foresee that happening right now. But I don't have the carpet, number one, and I always try to when you're putting the carpet, try to get the carpet down and the blocking on top of the carpet and have it leveled and stuff like that, which is kind of hard to to work to do that, especially if it's really cold and that kind of stuff. And Brian's gone. He said he got a licensed poly with sensors switched over to that hive. With sensors, you must have, what's it called? The thing that weighs the hive, and
Yeah.
It's the scale.
I
and
had
all
somebody
that.
approach me about selling them, and I can't see the beekeepers in the Shenandoah Valley doing that
What's that with the sensors or?
with
Yeah,
the sensors and the weight and the scale and
it sounds neat.
I looked at
sounds
that.
neat.
I looked at those things and the cost, and I just never could unless you're really into science type stuff. Brood miner, thank you, Brian. If you're really not in, if you're really, that's fine for like one hive to kind of give you a general idea of what's going on. But to me, I had a one guy that, he was translating, I'll call it, the darn waveforms. And I just could not see, I don't know. I just didn't get a whole lot out of it.
Yeah, they were
And,
right beside us at Nobby.
Oh yeah, that guy
Yeah,
was.
the guy they were selling them right beside
Yeah,
us.
so they looked interesting.
Well, then there was a club in Pennsylvania that bought a bunch of them, and they were talking about them, and they said they had a lot of issues of batteries and moisture getting in there, which I'll say short the battery out or something of that nature. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to say electronical problems with it.
Yeah.
And on, hey, there's Minnesota Mike. Hey, Mike. So anyway, I just never got into that. That's not for me.
Yeah, I looked at him and talked to the guy and talked to him about price, and I was like, I don't think anybody will ever buy them.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Oops, here comes our cat. He might jump up on the desk. Sometimes he does.
So, but yeah, so that's where I'm at as far as mites and wintering and stuff. I'll be feeding here pretty soon. I got my sugar bought, and I'll start making 40-gallon batches of sugar water and put some Apis biologic in it.
There you go. Make that
And
nectar.
yeah, make it nectar out of it. There's a big kitten.
Yeah, he's looking for me. He lays in my lap.
This is Bubba.
He's the guard cat.
And so I'll be, like you're talking about getting your hives set up and stuff. Now, how are you feeding those hives in the winter
have
or
We have
pre-feeding them?
frame feeders.
Right now we're using in-frame feeders.
In frame feeders.
Yeah, but
then
now how are you filling your frame feeders?
Right now, she's using jugs.
it's very labor intensive.
A lot of labor.
But
Well, that's like myself. I mean, you can look at some of my videos where I've got a 40-gallon tank with a diaphragm pump from Tractor Supply, and I hooked it up to my trailer lights, the four little
Yep.
teeny plugs, and just turn your marker lights on in your truck, and it turns the pump on. Of course, it's got a pressure switch on it. It turns the pump off when it gets built pressure up. And I fill that tank up with sugar water 2-to-1. Now, my 2-to-1 is not quite 2-to-1. I've figured it all out as far as it should be like 300 pounds of sugar to 20 some gallons of water, which will be 40 plus gallons of sugar water.
Yep.
But the pump is a diaphragm pump and it won't pump it. So I do 250, which is slightly under 2-to-1. It's close enough. And put my Apis biologic in there. And it comes out at 40 gallons. And which the tank holds all that. And then and then, like you were saying, make that new apiary convenient, where hopefully you can get out there when it's wet and with your pickup truck with your tank in the back of it. And of course, the tank is strapped down with ratchet straps. It's on a pallet, number one, and it's strapped to I have eye hooks connected to the pallet. and I have that tank strapped down to the pallet, and of course the pallet strapped down to the truck. And
You have described exactly the setup that I've got, and minus the generator because I've got an air compressor on my diaphragm pump, and my generator had to go in the shop, and it's not been picked up yet.
Yeah. So what kind of
Ye-
nozzle do you use? Like a gas pump nozzle?
well, it came originally with a sprayer nozzle for spraying,
Yeah,
pesticides or whatever. So it was attached to the point where just had to cut it off. You could not pull that nozzle off there.
right.
So what I did was something cheap. I went up to the hardware store and got a quarter turn valve and about an 8-inch piece of pipe with a 90-degree elbow on it. And that's it. I go over there when it came with, what, 12, 16 foot of hose,
Mhm.
something like that. I drive along the front of those hives right there, and I can fill well, the big hives right behind me. I probably can fill at least 3 of them without moving the truck, maybe 4. Mostly 3, I'll say. Now my nukes, I have 4 nukes on a rack, so I can fill all 4 of them. Maybe the next first one on the next rack. And of course, I've got licensed top pipe feeders. They were plastic ones, which I bought them years ago, and that's what fit. I don't particularly care for frame feeders. And I go along there, and they take about 3 quarts of sugar water, and I fill them on up, and I just turn the valve and just keep pumping. Now the problem with that diaphragm pump is that a lot of times if you don't use it really regular when you're pumping a lot, if it sits a little bit, the sugar will get on that diaphragm and it won't let it pump very well. So you got to take about 10 bolts out, screws out, take it apart, that housing, just take it in your sink and just wash it with some soap and water and wash the housing out a little bit and then put it all back together and it'll pump right away. It'll pump a gallon and a half a minute or whatever it is it goes for. It's not a real strong pump.
I guess we're lazy. We're feeding syrup.
Yeah, we're feeding syrup.
We're feeding fructose.
Yeah, you mean 2 to 1?
No,
It's already
just
made.
it's already made.
I'm lazy.
Fructose syrup,
Yeah.
T55 syrup. We have
Talking
it
about
in a
like Pro Sweet?
no, it's not Pro Sweet. I've got 2 totes of Pro Sweet sitting in the barn, but
Yeah.
we haven't used all this other tote first. We got to use that first.
Where did you get that from?
We got it from Jason Woodcamp up in Maryland.
Okay, he's maybe an hour from me or something like that.
Yeah,
So that's what we're using right now. So that's yeah. But I usually do mix sugar water.
It's just regular,
fructose syrup.
yeah, regular syrup.
Yep, comes in a
Is it,
tanker.
what would you call it, a 1-to-1 type ratio or 2-to-1 or?
It's more like a 2 to 1,
It's pretty thick.
and we can
Yeah.
cut it down to 1 to 1. But the problem is with cutting it, you lose your indefinite shelf life.
All right. I have I tried Pro Sweet. It's like a 3-to-1
Yep.
and
Thick.
it's really super thick. And I still use it more so if I'm like when I start next year working with um, mating boxes and bees can't smell it. And yeah, I put it in little pint jars, put it on my 2-frame mating boxes. I can cut and I cover them up with this other wooden box and they can't smell it, so they don't get attacked by the bigger hives. I mean, I put my mating boxes right behind my big hives. I don't really like having out yards all over the place
Yeah.
for traveling. It's a pain, and you forget everything, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I put that on there, and it works great. I really didn't do a whole lot of feeding with that this year. And still I've had it for a couple years now, I guess, but I did use it in place of mixing up my own sugar one year. But it just killed me because I'm bringing in well, I'll put about 4 gallons in a bucket, or maybe 3 gallons in a bucket because it's so heavy. And then by the time you're pouring all this stuff in, and they're taking it and all like that, but man, my shoulder, if I kept doing that, I'd have to get shoulder replacements.
Yeah, we diluted it when we first started feeding earlier in the summer, but now it's, we've had been so dry here. I mean, we're in extreme drought, so there hadn't been a lot for them to eat. I'm like, all right, let's get them building up some stores. So we just started feeding it. I guess probably about 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
4 weeks ago, we started feeding it straight.
Right after we took honey.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Brian, yes, it's HFCS 55. Yes.
High fructose corn syrup.
Yep.
But so anyway, I said I just couldn't handle that, so I didn't get any more, and I went back to buying sugar by the bags and mixing it. Put 20 gallons of water in my mixing tank and put 250 gallons or 250 pounds of sugar in there. Mix it, and I heat the water. And some people, there's a lot of folks out there that don't do the heating part. I said, well, I understand that, but I started out on a stove in the house, heating it where you can dissolve it and it looks great and it stays dissolved for the most part, except for maybe a little bit in your feeders. It might settle out just a little bit if it stays in there at a very long time. And so anyway, I set up a tank with a burner and all that stuff. And it's been working great for, I don't know, the last 4 or 5 years or more. And then I transfer it to the big tank. And then like you say, all I got to do is turn the button, turn the machine on, and just go out there and pump, and you're done. And that's the way to go. If you got 20 or 30 hives or more, try to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah,
Just like I bought the hive lifting machine this year, and I used it today to put the Formic Pro on, and picked up all those top mediums off of there, which are all full of nectar that the bees have brought in over the last month. And can I lift them? Yeah, I can lift them by myself. But you do 20 of them suckers, and you're going to be hurting for the rest of the day.
And hive lifter's worth it, isn't it?
Huh? Oh,
and
yeah.
Hive lifter's worth it, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. And I go out there, and I got a video in a can right now. I got to get ready to put it out. I got to make it up on edit it and all that stuff. But, you go out there and you break the top box apart from the other rest of the hive, then hook your hive lifter up to it and just push down on the handles, the one that I have, and it just it just teeter-totters that box right up off of there, and then you just move it out of the way, let it sit there while you're for me today was scraping the top of the box off with getting rid of the burr comb and putting 2 pads down. Then turn around and grab the high lifter, come on over there and just drop it off on there. It just easy, you line up that back edge with the hive and you can pretty much get it almost perfect. Lay it on there, and then you might have to tweak it just a little bit to get the boxes to line up perfectly. And you're done. And there's no stress on your lower back or arms or, and you're not pretty much not wore out more. So today was pretty easy job doing that with the hive lifter. When I was putting Aprivar strips in, you had to take the top box off, then take the middle box out, put your strips in, and it was a little bit more work to it. The biggest thing I've found is that I like my mediums, breaking them apart you know, where they're glued together really bad. The mediums is not so bad, but I have 5 double deeps this year because I had bee issues and I didn't want to take the time to transition my deep frames to medium frames. I just trying to get honey because I was, you know, down with queen problems and production hives that were dead outs and stuff. So anyway, when I got in there to do the Aprivar, it was pretty rough trying to get them boxes apart and stuff. And so now today, because I had pre-broken those boxes apart and they were easier to get unbroken, and I had a little more experience. I had a little wedge that I used that I shoved it in there, and that gave me, you know, freed up my hand so I could pop the boxes apart. And I kept shoving the wedge into where it was like a 3/4 inch block holding up one corner of the box, and then I could make sure that the rest of all those frames were broke apart from the top box. And then I hooked
Long
up
hive
my
tool comes in handy for that, doesn't it?
yeah, a big long one I got from you. Yeah, works great. And but you know, putting that stick in there to hold that box up on the one side so I could go in there and do the rest on the other side and use my hand to lift the box up at the same time. But I'm pretty sure next year I've got those 5 highs. I'm going to transition back to mediums. It just I know it's an extra box, an extra 10 frames, but it just a little bit easier to work with and all that stuff. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, that was one of the things that I found out with. Then, of course, the nukes, I can't use the hive lifter on that, but I use that bench.
Your
That
arms
aluminum
don't
bench.
come in so you can?
What's that?
The arms on your lifter don't collapse any?
They don't come in that far in. The early design are basically about, I got them all the way in for 10 frame boxes. I guess, I mean, if I would have bought it and said to Boris up there, can you make me one that will do 8 frames or 5 frames? I'm sure he would have. I'm not sure about 5 frames or not, whether they do too much of that. It's designed to be able to do that or not. I know I could probably like Ian and them guys, they will pick those hives from the sides, which are, you know, the 19 and
Yeah, the
3
big
eighths
side.
on the big wide side. So it'll go
Yeah.
out and I could pick it up from that side, or I pick them up from the narrow side. So it worked out fine. But
So
like
yours is manual crank, right?
now it's hydraulic.
You got the hydraulic one.
Ah,
I
you
got
spent the money.
I spent $1,650, which I didn't, you know, it's not that
That's not
bad.
bad though.
It's got a hydraulic cylinder, which is electric over hydraulic.
Yep.
And you just hit the button, it'll raise it up. But now Faith Apery's on there. He's got the B1 model, which is more like a dolly. And I guess you call it gear driven, where it raises it up with a strap, the arms, where it's like a winch. That's what it would be like. Mine's more like I call mine, it's got the same actions as like a front end loader on a tractor. It kind of reaches out and grabs the box. I got the 2 wheels in the front, the big wheels.
Yeah.
And if you watch my videos, I have the top arm where the grabber arms are attached to. It's usually level, and I'm holding up the back, but it makes that top bar level and it's angled down to the wheels. So you go in and you come down with those arms, and then they flap in to the sides of the boxes. And while it's standing there, it's standing on the 2 front big wheels, and then it's level. The arms are that top arm is level. And if the box is broke apart, all I have to do is push down on my back handles, and it acts like a teeter totter like that, and it just raises that box right up off of the hive, and then you roll it backwards, and it's sitting on the 2 big wheels and the 2 little wheels, and then it'll be up in the air slightly, and it's balanced to where it just sits there on the four wheels and like sort of like a dolly. And then you can go in and, you work your brood chamber, let's say. Um, and what mine does that the B1 model, which is like a dolly, the B1 can only lift from the rear end or it can lift from the sides, but it can't lift from the front if you have a bottom board with a landing board because it can't reach. It's got to be like a normal dolly. A normal dolly, when you come up with let's say you want to move boxes,
Yeah.
like cardboard boxes, you got to get that dolly all the way up right flush with the cardboard boxes before you can tip it back.
Yeah.
And that's how that B1 model works. Now with mine, it's more like a front end loader. I believe the purple hive and the white hive right there, that I believe was that where the purple hive was sitting, it was rotten on the hive stand, and I made up a new hive stand. I came around late February, early March when they were still, kind of cold. I screened off the front of the hive. I put strapping around the three mediums, hold it all together, and I came in there and grabbed that hive from the middle section, lifted it on up, brought it off of that hive. I put a medium on the ground to set it on, and then went around and grabbed the white hive and just let it sit on the machine. And I did all my work removing the old stand and putting the new stand in, making sure it was level, and then putting the two hives back on there all by myself. Probably took about an hour, time I leveled up things and stuff like that. Your squeal crashing there a little bit. But anyway, that's the difference on mine. But mine you can either have Mike Berry has the model the B2, which is the same as mine, except it has screws inside of cylinders, I think it is, that raises the lifting arms up. And then Mike told me that he recommended the spend the extra $300 or $400 for the hydraulic cylinder, which I had already planned on doing that anyway. And it'll lift 250 some pounds and everything. So now I don't know about the Anneal hive, whether or not do they have handholds on the side?
Handles on the long side, and they're opposing.
Yeah.
On the long side, but not on the side,
No.
Yeah.
not on the sides. That's where you would have to come along on the end of the hive rack in order to lift your boxes and stuff.
Yep.
Hey, Rodney. But yeah, I love it. I mean, you can go over there and just pick that weight off and back it out of the way, do whatever you need to do, and then put the box back on there. And there is more or less effortlessly doing it. It's like it isn't a drudgery or like, oh man, my back hurts. Nothing of that anymore.
Well, see that kind of lift that you've got would be perfect to work a Demerate hive.
Yeah, that was one of the things I did buy it for, because what I do is I'll have, let's say, 2 honey supers on there, maybe 3. I can lift all 3 supers at one time.
Yeah.
I can break it apart, lift the supers up, back it up, and I go in there, as I call it, my modified Demery, where I pull all the cat brood out, and I've already took the top box off the top. I've already went through that and pulled the empties, as I call it, out with where the brood had hatched or whatever, and then throw all that empty in the bottom and put all the brood in the top of it and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
And all. But now you were talking about, when you were explaining it, you had a deep and a medium, and the medium's full of brood, let's say, and then you shake all the bees back down into the bottom box, queen excluder, let's say 2 honey supers, and then you put that brood box up on top.
On top of a queen excluder.
Yeah, well, it's on top of the honey supers and everything, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the brood box, honey, queen excluder, supers, queen excluder, and then your other brood box goes on top.
Right.
And then once they figure out that they're queenless up there, you have to go back through and kill all the queen cells.
Right.
And then as the brood hatches out, they will backfill it with honey.
Yeah. And
And
then Doug
once
was,
they start backfilling with honey, you can pull that upper queen excluder, and now you've got 4 supers of honey that they're going to fill.
Mhm. And then you don't really have to go back in the bottom box in order to
Nope.
do any removal
Nope.
because she won't eat because you pulled that brood away. She's still has enough room for the next month or two
Yep.
where she's not going to swarm.
Yep.
I might have to try that too, because that's even better yet. Doug was saying about Boris up there. He does make forks for the My model that, like, if you watch James McNally from Old McNally Farms, he's got it's a double hive setup on one pallet, 2 hives on a pallet, and
Yep.
he actually lifts the 2 hives. It will lift, I think it's 260 some pounds, which it would probably be like 2 deeps on there, maybe 4 deeps, a double deep on each corner of that pallet, and that's about as much you're going to lift. Now, James did admit that he lifted like 6 boxes of honey along with that. He kind of bent the bars on it a little bit, so
That's not good.
overloaded it, but it still did the job. But anyway, like I say, I bought it this year. I really enjoy it, and I recommend it to anybody.
Matthew, that's a good statement. The reason I put the second one on there is that's just the way I was taught to do it.
Well, I have to say one thing. This year I did that, and I got a little late, and I hit it at the absolute last minute. I'm going to say, and I mean literally the last minute, because I pulled that brood frame up and I seen 3 queen cells with 3 lids hanging down. And I'm looking, I had just shook another frame off into the hive. And I said, man, I wonder if there was a queen on over there. And I'm looking at this frame that had the 3 queen cells with the 3 lids hanging down. And oh, there's a virgin right there. Oh, there's a virgin right there. Oh, there's another virgin over there. Give me my clean clip. Give me my queen clip. And I got them all, and that kind of stuff. So I got them, and they went into I happened to have some hives that needed some queens.
And that's a good thing.
And most of them did take that I can remember. So, and all that kind of thing. So, and all right. Matt was saying, can I treat a double deep with 3 strips of Aprivar? I have a 12-pack and 4 hives. Yeah, you
look at the number of frames of brood you have.
Yeah, it's 1 strip per 5 frames of brood, of bees. That's what it says in there. So, yeah, Matt, you can get away with it, I guess.
It won't be as effective because you're actually under the recommended treatment. Just let it stay in there a few days longer to the 56th day instead of the 42nd.
Well, the only thing I'd say from my judgment of Aprivar today is it's an effective treatment to a certain extent. It's not the end all treatment. You're going to have to back it up with some formic or something else.
Yeah.
I would say that Aprivar is a treatment that if you got low mite count, it'll maintain low mite count and not let it get it out of hand. And if you're in a overrun if you got mites are overrunning your hive, then you want to hit them with oxalic acid, even though there's brood in there. You're going to not, it's going to quick knock down.
How long ago did you treat with Formic Pros? Question.
I don't know, but that's true statement. I think.
Because you don't want to come too soon behind Formic with another treatment. I think they recommend 2 weeks between. Mike from Minnesota Bees has got a good one. Apivar, the beekeeper's version of Russian roulette.
4 weeks ago.
Yeah, you should be safe to come along behind them. Did you do a mite wash in between? Because,
Yeah, I would have reversed that myself. I think he would
yeah, I would
probably
have done the Apivar first and then the Formic.
because of the heat conditions.
Yeah,
That's why I did what I do.
yeah,
And it just happened. So as soon as I pulled well, not happened. So I knew it was supposed to be today as far as being a low cool week. I'm like, okay, we're right on target here. Let's do the Formic for 2 weeks. And then after that, pull it out. And then I will take and feed. And that usually takes till about no later than the 15th of October.
yeah. You need to do a mite wash, Mike, or
Matt.
Sorry, your mite load might be low enough to where you can wait a full quarter. 3% is acceptable, which is 3 mites. Yeah, do the mite wash and see what you come up with, and then either get in touch with me or Charlie, and we can.
All right, I got a
Yeah.
question for you there, Bill, on that mite treatment. Now, when they say 3%, all right, you do a cup, let's say, quote, 300 bees.
Yep.
Well, 300 bees is it would be 9 mites. 3 mites per 100, right? 3%. And then it used to be, well, if you had 9 mites, then if you had 6 mites, it's 2%. And if you had 3 mites, it's 1%. But now you see Ian and different ones, and even a lot of folks will say, I have 1 mite, 2 mite, or 3 mites in that cup. So
Yeah.
have I got my math wrong on all that stuff?
The USDA changed the way they look at it. And now they say what they say, and if you read the mite wash jar, and if you read the research, 300 bees, you got 3 mites, that's 3%. And I understand what y'all are saying here about the math. I get it. I understand that. But 1 mite is 1%, 2 mites is 2%, 3 mites is 3%, and that's kind of what the standard is now.
Right.
Because if state apiars comes in, he's not going to. If he counts 9 mites, you're going to fail your inspection. They're going to tell you to treat.
Right. But anyway, I always, it's either 1 mite, 2 mite, or 3 mite in the jar. It seemed like to me from what everybody when they test and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it used to be, oh, if you got 12 mites, oh, you're no problem. When you did a sugar shake when I started, and then every year it got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Smaller and smaller and smaller.
The amounts and everything. So, but it's the way it is. I just I kind of look at it this way. We all got mites. And
Yep.
I think that with me, see you, Jeff.
Good night, Jeff.
With me treating and doing vapor through the winter time, I think really superly helps. If
It
you can
does.
do it at least once a month, you're suppressing those mites and keeping a very low suppressed mite load in your hives. And I used to do it at 48 degrees where they were right on the edge of flying. And then you sort of, if they got the, a couple more degrees, you're at 50. And now everybody wants to come out of the hive. And so I found at 45, the still a loose cluster. They're going to stay in the hive. You don't have, and I block my front entrances up with 1.5 by 2 styrofoam insulation. And I make it just a little bit wider than what the bottom board is on the edges. And that way it tucks right in there and the bees can't push it out. And you're going to come around Christmas, Mike. Okay. Well, you could still stop by possibly. And so anyway, I do it then and it works fine. And I, of course, I have coroplast on our screen bottom boards where I take these little wedges that I've made and put them on all 4 corners to put that thing tight and try to keep every bit of that gas or vapor inside that hive to do a good job. And that seems to be working for me. So,
Yeah.
well, it's about 10:15.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been
That-
on here a little over 2 hours.
Yep.
It's been a good conversation with everybody. A lot of good questions, a lot of good statements. A lot of information's passed from hand to hand tonight. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next week on Monday night at 8 o'clock, unless everybody thinks 7 would work better. So
Well, that's up to you as the
I know, but we've had some people check out. People do work. I understand that. So
yeah, well, it's there's a lot of folks to get up early and all and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, but
So-
everybody go ahead and it's let's see, your YouTube channel is actually Lee had it on here. Just look under Shenandoah or what's it called? Bee all day. Bees all day. Look
bees
it
all
on
day.
look it on the YouTube channel. And go
Once I get
ahead
to look at
and
that tomorrow, Richard, I will put out a short and let everybody know how many I'm up to. And I do appreciate the support, Charlie. I really do.
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing this again. And see you everybody next week.
Have a good week.
So
Yeah,
be
you can,
thinking
you
about
can
your
also
questions and what you want to talk about, and
and you could also do some show and tell, Bill. I mean, as far as
yeah,
like what some products that you have, the Neil Hive, get people familiar
yep,
with that kind of stuff, how it's constructed, built, and everything else.
yep. I have been invited to be on Cayman Reynolds chat his YouTube channel in September. We're not sure of a hard date yet, but I will be on there. So, and I
Okay.
will have guests on here from time to time as well. So,
Now, are you? I know that your facility actually has a classroom in it. Or you were working on that when I stopped by and said hi. And
I'm actually teaching classes in it now.
so, are you
So
going to have maybe some special weekend only type of classes or something like that, 1 or 2 days?
I am. In the spring, we'll be doing splits classes, more advanced classes. Last summer, I did a grafting class. So I'm trying to get the Virginia Tech epidemiologist up here, Dr. Wilson, to do a microscopy class. And if I
Mhm.
can get him up here, I will stream that class, and I'm going to start streaming my classes as well, any of them that I have.
Right. No, I mean, like myself, I mean, I'm grafting, but uh, admittedly, I have my weak problem when it comes to making queens is the best way to set up a cell builder, and how to make sure that you have
Sure.
enough bees in that cell builder. And
Yep.
now, if you got a class like that, I'll be in Woodstock, Virginia.
I'd love to see you come back, Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll stop by. I just, like I say, if you had a class like that, I'll be one of your students. Yeah, where
Okay.
where we
Well,
might go out to out to your yard or whatever or something like that, and
yep.
this is how you do it, type of thing, and
Yep.
because there's a lot of I was talking to one of my beekeepers that a friend of mine who did. I said, "What do you do?" He said, "I do the queenless cell builder." I said, "Well, that's what I've been doing out in a nuke," and and
Typically, the way we do it is queenless cell builders.
well, I mean,
Um,
it's like Brian was saying, I said, well, now when do you start to set that thing up? And that was where my downfall is. I'm like, oh, let's just start making a queen cell builder today. Well, now it don't work that way. He
no.
said, start about 2 weeks ahead of time. So with cat brood, it's about ready to merge
Yeah, so
and
you
stuff
have the
like
nurse bees.
you have the nurse bees and you got
Yep.
the amount of all right, Mike, I'll look for your email and my postings. That ain't a problem. And that's those little nuances or bits of information that people kind of skip over.
Yeah,
It's like, well, you're not going to be successful if you skip over.
right.
It's just like here in Maryland, we had EAS and they were going to, for an extra couple bucks, they want you to teach you how to graft. I says, grafting is not the issue. Grafting is easy as far as
Yeah,
I'm
it's the
concerned.
rest of it.
It's knowing what age larvae that you're looking at and how to know. I've come up with that myself and knowing how to. I asked him, I said, you're going to teach us how to do us. You're going to have a live apiary there. There you go for
I
grafting or queen
appreciate
build.
that, Darren, and I'll
There,
see what
there,
I can
there.
do to get it
You're
set up.
getting your information signed. Let you know what you need to start promoting.
Yep,
Yeah, that's good to know.
it's good to know.
That's people want to do that, and
Yep.
let's say it. I mean, the main thing, like I say, everybody here is listening in right now. They're right all. I mean, I'm talking a half a mile, if that, maybe more like a quarter mile off of Interstate 81. Once
Yep.
you get off the interchange, you just go down past the Wawa and across the street, and they're on the left hand side. You're there,
Yep.
and
So
there's two. There's a Holiday Inn and a Hampton Inn, I think it is there.
Hampton Inn, Holiday Inn,
Comfort Inn.
and a Comfort Inn.
And a comfort inn. So there's plenty of places for rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a Cracker Barrel on the other side. That's
And there's
most
a Cracker
important.
Barrel, McDonald's. There's a new restaurant opening up called Italian Touch. There's a Taco Hell, and a Pizza Hut.
There you go. So you got everything right there, right in your backyard.
Yep.
But anyway, where's I doing with this? EAS. I asked the one guy months ago before it ever even started, back in the wintertime or early spring. You got to teach how to set up that cell builder? No. This is what you're only teaching half the class then.
Yep. So
I
I've got
said,
two excellent queen breeders in the area.
Yep.
And
then you also have that drone
yeah.
canopy thing that
And
you were telling about.
that way I can do better classes because I've been preaching for years. Everybody gets a basic beekeeping class and nobody ever teaches anything advanced.
That's right.
So that's
And
what I'm trying to do
and
is
it's
start teaching the advanced side.
every conference, it's always catering to the new beekeeper for the
Yep.
most part. And it's like, I'm tired of that.
Yep.
Give me some stuff to chew on here,
Yep.
You mean how to set it up, and I mean really do some detail work on how to set it up
Yeah.
and stuff. But all right, you've seen what Darren wants to come, I'll come, you
That's
know,
2.
We'll start making a schedule.
I'll start making a schedule up
Yeah, we need to start
you know,
and
scheduling.
but I
start
mean,
posting it.
well, what I'm driving at is that you could, you know, you want to teach quote advanced stuff and teach the whole class, not half the class. You know, grafting is, you know, I went to tennis Knoxville in 2019 and Kent Williams. I was about 10 minutes in, let's say, and I said, "Is this all there is to it, grafting?" And we had live bees, you know, where he shook all the bees out, but they brought all the larvae frames and stuff into the classroom. And we
Yeah.
had 2 lines of people, and every one of us got to, you know, and he had a big handful of Chinese grafting tools. And I happened to have magnification unit, and I went ahead and did all that. And like I say, after 10 minutes, I was like, "Is this all there is to it?" He says, "Yep, that's it." Now he tried to tell us, you know, to try to mark the frame where the eggs are and come back in 2.5 to 3 days. That didn't work out for me here at the house. But what I came up with, I tell people, I said, "Look, now if you're like me, I got glasses, these are my readers. If I using my normal glasses like I normally do out in the bee yard, and you're looking through your veil, you see jelly? Yes. Do you see anything floating in the jelly? No. That's what you want right there. Because
Yep.
there's something there. Once you
There's
put your
something there.
magnification unit on, then you'll see the larvae in
Yep.
there. And it'll
Yep.
be around 12 hours or less old. If you see something floating in the jelly, it's too old.
Yep.
There's a basic concept that it's easy to remember. And you know, when you see it, you know, especially in the springtime, you'll have a much greater chance of seeing that because the queens are, you know, laying up a storm.
Yeah. When
And
we do cell builders, we rotate these through it. We're always putting in new frames of brood. We're always adding brood to it. And we've got breeder queens that we pull this brood from and everything else. And because they have to be able to lay as well. So what are we going to do with all this extra brood? So we create cell builders. And that's where we put our
well,
grass.
right now I did have 12 nukes. Now I got 9, and I'm not selling any nukes in the spring. And hopefully they'll all make it through. And it's like, okay, what do you do with all this frames and frames and frames of brood? And it's
Right.
like cell builder, cell builder, cell builder. And I have a
Yep.
spot or 2 now that I can make a cell builder or 2, pull this frame out, keep them from swarming, put it in the hives, and you know, you can make a nice cell builder in all. And like you say, just like I said about understanding jelly in the cell with you can't see anything. It's like you're telling, you know, you would come in the classroom and say, okay, this is, you start so many weeks ahead of time, you do this and this and this and this, and this is how you accomplish a cell builder within 2 weeks of being super strong, overflowing with nurse bees. And when you put your graft in there, you're going to get 80, let's say, percent take. If you graft good enough, you'll have, you know, the bees are going to jump on it. And within, you know, and that's another thing that I used to get confused about all the numbers. And
Yeah.
I tell people, I says, don't worry about day 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't matter. You want larvae that's at day 3.
Yeah.
So I learned my this is my way of doing things. The day I graft is the day I put the frame in the cell builder. That's day number 1. And when day number 6 comes, from the day you put it in that hive, that cell is capped. So in
Should
6
be.
days, huh?
Should be.
Should be, you know, they should be if they're accepted.
Yep.
They should be capped after at day 6, as I call it. most people say, well, it's day 9. No, just make it day 6. It's so much easier to count.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I used to leave them in there, and then you used to get webbing in between, and then you're trying to cut it with a knife. That's where I came up with my own. I built my own little incubator out of a refrigerator up in the freezer box where you put a light and a thermostat and all that stuff and a fan and a little tray of water in there. And voila, you got yourself a cheap incubator.
Yep.
And leave it in there for I can't tell you how many days it is right now. But anyway, I usually would take the cells out a day and a half before day to 2 days before they would hatch, and put them in a brood or a breeding box and mating box and that kind of stuff. And then anymore, we could I've got them now to where I found some stuff from Duck River Honey, which holds test tubes, which will hold hair roller cages off of Amazon. And I put the cells in them and let them hatch out completely in the incubator. And then I can sit there and look at them to make sure they're fine and dandy. And then some people say they don't have much luck with it, but I actually physically walk them in. I just let them walk off into the 2-frame mating box. And
Mike, it's actually, if you go to YouTube and you search Bees All Day or William Gartner, you'll come up with
if
my
you'll
channel, and it's at the top. It's at
if
the top of the
you'll
chat.
click on Bill, click on I don't know who that, right above Kodiak Farms, it says streamyard.com FAMDGU. That should go to your Bees All Day. That should be the YouTube channel. You might want to hit those 3 dots and put it up to the top. I think that goes to your StreamYard channel. If I'm not mistaken. Nope, that doesn't go to your StreamYard channel. That goes to StreamYard channel. It doesn't go to your YouTube channel.
Right.
Bees All Day at William.
It's William Gartner.
William
615 5167 or 6157.
5167. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. And I am going to.
There it is. It's there. Somebody beat you to it.
That's it. That's it. Now,
That's
can
it.
you? Did you put that in YouTube? Click on it, Mike. There you go.
So when we do grass, we drop 85 to 90 grass at a time.
Really?
And we usually get 85, 90% take rate, except this year. This year has just been lousy for queens.
Well, like I say, I didn't do anything this year. I had a couple years there where it was cold, and the biggest thing is I can't do everything. And I was really into selling nukes, and you got all these nukes sitting here and you got pre-orders, and it's like, okay, I got to get the nuke situation taken care of and get them out the door before they hit the trees. And by the time I do that, and it's like, oh, I can't take anything out of these nukes because I got to build them back up for next year.
Yep.
And by the time you do all that, then it's like queen rearing is kind of went by the wayside because you're tired and you just don't have time to do that, along with managing honey supers.
Yep.
So now this year I switched it around to where, all right, it's going to be honey production, get rid of the nuke sales, and get rid of the stress out of my life.
Yep.
And I can do queen ring when I want to do it.
Yep.
And I always found queen ring very fun. And it's very self-gratifying because it to me it's like a person who loves to garden. If you have a beautiful tomato plant there and it's producing nice big fat round red tomatoes, it's like, look what I grew. Well, queen's the same way. You get
Yeah.
that, you go through the fact and you graft, and then you get the bees to accept your graft. Well, that's first gratification. Hey, you're playing a game between you and the bees, and the bees will tell you whether or not you're going to lose. And if you got
Yeah, they
50%,
will. They'll tell you quick.
50% um, grafting acceptance, or did you get a 90% or 100% maybe, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. But I don't expect that. If you get 90, you're doing great. Then you take that situation and you progress up the ladder to the next thing, to where you get these bees to you put the cells, let's say, into the mating boxes after you go through. I always like an incubator. You can put your cells in the mating boxes, or you can take and get them to hatch out and get them into the mating boxes. And then, if it's hatched out, normally what I do is you put them in the box, you feed them, and leave them alone for 2 weeks and come back. And then you got yourself a queen that's laying up a frame in that 2-frame mating box.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then, after a couple weeks or so, 2 or 3 weeks, at least a month, let's say, you got this beautiful frame of brood, and she's big and fat and sassy looking. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I can sell this queen because she looks so
Yeah.
good.
But see, it
But
also helps when you have a breeder queen that's constantly laying eggs, and constantly you're rotating those frames of brood out into cell builders.
yeah,
So you're constantly dropping cells, and you're constantly rotating in uh new brood, so they hatch out into nurse bees. So it's a constant rotation. And when you start getting to the point to where you're getting 100% take rate on 80 cells, and you've got all these mating nukes lined up down your yard, and now you're going to start making a little bit of money.
yeah. And another thing, along with your queen rearing operation, you need to teach people how to make um if they're, I was watching Barnyard Bees, and he had the 2-frame mating boxes. I sort of suggest 3 frames now, but then I also think about, well, if you're doing 3 frames, well, maybe you just need to buy a 5-frame nuke and have a follower board in there, and and then you can just expand it out more or something like that. But
So we use the mini mating nukes.
okay, the little styrofoam things.
Well, yeah, styrofoam, plastic. You can get
Yeah,
them
where
all different kinds of
you put
configuration.
like a cup of bees in there.
Yep, you just pack it
Well,
full
see,
of
that's
bees.
something I have no experience with that. So there's another class right there.
Yep,
I know it's a couple bees, and I've been down to Georgia, where they have they got it kind of reminds me of a brood box, but it's got a feeder in the middle, and there's miniature frames on the left and on the right, where they got two
yep,
different queens in there.
yep. That's a double
And
breeder.
yeah, it's a double breeder and stuff like that. But see, there's another class for you, Bill, to
Yep,
things like that interest me because I have no experience with that. So watching, I have to watch. I see what you're doing, and I pick up all the small little details by doing that. And so there's another part of a class that you could possibly
yep.
do. So,
You just got to
well,
be careful when you put them in when you put that cell in there. When she hatches out, she's going to be in there a couple of days before she leaves on her mating
right.
flight. But there's a syrup container in there.
Mhm,
Got to be careful to make sure you put that guard on there so she doesn't get into the syrup and drown.
mhm.
So there's
All those points that you're pointing out tonight are the when you see the box that you're talking about and the parts and what you're, it all makes sense because it's visual.
Yep.
And there's a good class right there,
Yep.
you know. So, that's or part of a class or something of that nature.
Yeah. So, well,
How do,
Charlie,
all right, and then I'll answer this last question, then it's up to you. You have to click out or whatever. How do I keep the bees from leaving the mating box? Do you use those queen's pheromone strips?
no.
No, I'll tell you what I do. And a lot of people uh frown on it, I'll say, but I've asked the same questions some local friends of mine. And I'm like, how do you take and keep them bees from going back to the parent hive that you took them out, which are those hives right behind me there? Because those bees are no more than 20 feet behind them hives. And that is you lock them up for
Yep.
3 to 4 days and they forget their memory. But now, number one, um, I got two big ventilation holes in the bottom of that hive and then you must feed them with sugar water. That's where the Pro Sweet comes in. And 3 to 4 days later, um, they lose their memory, and the majority of them will not go back to the parent hive, and they to them that's their new house. People say that's terrible. I said, what do you think happens in the wintertime? They are in that hive for 4 to 4 months in my area. Let's say 4 to 6 months, mostly 4 months. Why do they come out in the springtime and come out and circle around and orientate? Because they forgot where they live. So they got to triangulate with the sun to the position of the hive so they know where to come back to. And
Yep.
so you're uh, introducing that same theory when it comes to your two-frame mating box. Now, if it's like they're out in the sunlight a lot of times, and it might be pretty darn hot on them. So a lot of times I'll take a board like a 1x12 and I'll have my mating boxes in a row and I'll put that board on top to give them shade from the sunlight during the daytime so they don't cook them in there either. But like I say, I have ventilation up underneath, I have food on the top, and it works out that well.
So the mini mating nukes, the tiny boxes, a cup of bees, we rotate those bees in and out as well.
And
So
then and then with clueless beekeeper, I mean, once you get, let's say you got a queen in there and she gets to laying. Well, you got two frames. Give her an empty frame to for the new queen that you take. If you take her out and sell her, let's say, you put an empty frame in and you keep that one brood frame in there. Well, when they come out, that's their house. They're not going
mhm,
to leave.
right.
And all that. So it's a continuous cycle after that. Once you get the box established, then you keep letting that queen lay brood in there. Those bees stay there because that's their house and stuff. So
So he's also had problems with bees leaving splits. The way we do splits is we will do a split, and that split goes to the far end of the apiary. It goes away from the donor hive. We don't let it sit beside the donor hive because when they go out, they'll come back to the donor hive. So we put it at the far end of the apiary, stop it up for a day, and then that next evening after we've done that split, we'll open it up. When they come out in the morning, they have to orient.
right. And that's also the same situation where you might put in, let's say, a branch of pine needles or some fresh pine needles, kind of make that entrance like, well, something's changed here. And they kind of
Yeah,
crawl out of that and they're like, all right, well, we've got to reorientate, and that's how you kind of coax them into doing stuff like that.
yeah, you fool them. Two frame mating nukes. I've had mixed luck with them. They take about 90% the same amount of wood.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Clueless.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's what I've thought. After you think a thought process where hey, Robert. Yeah, Robert, this is not my channel. It's Bob's channel here. Bob,
Bill.
Bill. I don't know why I say. And it's Shenandoah Bee Supply, and you can take, and this is his link. There's his link so you can subscribe to his channel.
Robert,
He's
it'll
all
be posted in the morning.
okay. It'll be posted in the morning and everything. So um anyway, Clueless Bees, yeah, you're right. After rethinking a lot of times, if it's a 3-framer, well, you only are off 2x2 frames. So why build a special box? You already got a 5-frame box. It's available that you can either buy or build yourself, and that kind of stuff. Actually, I just started thinking here. I said, instead of me pulling out all my mating boxes, I might, since I've dropped back my 5-frame nukes, I might put them out there as my mating boxes next springtime, and that kind of a thing. And that way they have a completely screen bottom board with lots of ventilation. And I'll make a few follower boards up and start out with, let's say, 3 frames of bees or whatever, and do it that way. So, yeah, divider board or a follower board. All it is it's like a frame, but it's got it's a piece of plywood is what it is. Let's say 1/4 inch, goes
Yeah.
all the way to the bottom. And yeah, a lot of times the bees will kind of go underneath, but they don't seem to mind that too much. And all it's easy to
Okay.
build yourself and all that. They just call it a follower board. You can, some people sell them, but I mean, you can make one yourself. And all you got to do is take a top bar off of like I say, a wooden frame top bar, and then make yourself a piece of plywood. It's just long enough and deep enough to fit into those boxes and stuff like that. So, all right, Bill, that's up to you, but we went to now it's 11:15.
Yep. So comes early in the morning. I thank everybody for coming out for the first time and watching this channel. And we will be doing this every Monday. And I
As of
will
now,
have
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right?
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will have special guests from time to time. And Charlie was a great one to start out with.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, well,
Thank you,
it's not
Charlie.
not a
I
special guest. I'm
appreciate it.
just trying to. I'm doing what like Lee from Kodiak Farms. He helped me out, as an admin and getting me started up and doing all the back leg work and actually the intro and stuff like that. I provided the pictures and Lee developed that for me, and I
I
used that.
I have that in progress. The girl early, it was on here earlier, Sandra.
Mhm.
She's the one that's helping me with do this. So,
Well, you can make her an admin on your
yep,
live stream, and then she can develop, let's say, a 1-minute lead in, to start your show and stuff like that.
yeah.
So,
So, but I thank you all so much for coming out.
Have a
all
good
right,
week.
You all have a good week. Come see
we'll
me,
see you.
Charlie.
All right, I'll just stay here. I'll show you what I mean by the back room. So you can
Okay.
go ahead and shut the show down. So we'll see y'all next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard.